U.S. Election 2024. Effects on taxes of a second Biden term. According to a prominent authority on taxes, the wealthiest Americans may anticipate a cascade of tax hikes in the event the Democrats capture the Senate and the House of Representatives following President Joe Biden's re-election in November. Tax expert Ed Oswald, co-author of From Ronald to Donald: How the Myth of Reagan Became the Cult of Trump, made the assertion in an interview with Newsweek. Both Biden and Trump won a series of primaries on March 12, establishing themselves as the likely party nominees for president in November. The result has been a sharp focus on the two candidates' competing platforms and the policy disparities between them. Oswald told Newsweek that there is a huge gulf in tax policy goals between Biden and Trump, but that whoever wins in November will be severely limited in their authority unless they also take over Congress. According to Oswald, if Biden wins the election, he will propose a number of tax increases, the majority of which will target corporations and the very rich. Party control in the House and Senate will determine how successful or unsuccessful Biden is on tax reform, just as it would under a Trump administration. We should also anticipate that the Biden administration will back efforts to modernize, enforce, and staff the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. Biden has advocated for an increase in the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28% and a minimum tax on billionaires of 25%. Oswald noted specifically, raising the corporation tax rate to 28% would essentially undo a major provision of Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which established a flat rate of 21%. The majority of the 7 income tax categories were cut by the act, and this reduction is set to expire in December 2025. Nearly half of the tax cuts went to individuals earning at least $232,000 per year, according to a research by the progressive-leaning think tank Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. This meant that the act mainly benefited the wealthy. According to Oswald, if Trump were to win a second term in office, he would probably seek to extend it, while Biden would argue that the majority of the tax cuts expire. The highest income tax rate is presently $609,350 for individuals and $731,200 for married couples filing jointly. He implied that Trump, upon his return to the White House, may attempt to lower this rate, based on the proposed expenditure initiatives in Biden's fiscal year 2025 budget and his goal to lessen the income and wealth disparity in the U.S., the taxation specialist came to the conclusion that some type of tax hike is very probable under Biden's administration, but Oswald cautioned that the national debt, which stands at over $34 trillion, will likely be a stumbling block for whatever candidate becomes office in November. It already approaches the cost of the entire U.S. defense budget, he said, pointing out that the Congressional Budget Office estimates that the cost of interest on the debt alone in 2024 is projected to be almost $870 billion. The Trump tax cuts added $2 trillion to the deficit, with unfunded giveaways skewed to the rich and huge corporations, and now congressional Republicans are seeking to extend them, adding another $3 trillion to the debt. White House Assistant Press Secretary Michael Kikukawa said Newsweek, citing the Trump administration's tax cuts: "The strategy of President Biden is very different.